Hi guys, this is Miss Elkins. For this video, you're going to need a piece of paper or two to write on, and I would like you to write down all of the examples that I'm giving you. In class, we're doing this as a foldable, but since I don't want you to have to print anything, you'll just have to write down the examples on your own paper. So the first thing we're going to start with today is how to change a decimal into a fraction and into a percent. So this whole unit that we're studying right now has to do with converting different forms of numbers into something else. All right, so get you a piece of paper, get ready to write, and we'll copy down some examples. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change a decimal to a fraction. So how to change, just ignore this part up here and this part down here and copy down what I'm writing right here. So to change a decimal to a fraction, you first write the decimal the way you would say it as a fraction. So if I have this decimal, that's properly read as 25 hundredths. It's really important that you read a decimal correctly, because then when you do that, you're saying the fraction. It's not the simplified form of the fraction, but it is the fraction. So if I change 25 hundredths to a fraction, I just rewrite it as the fraction I just said. It's 25 over 100. Okay? So when you write 25 hundredths as a fraction, 25 over 100, all you have to do then is simplify it. Hopefully you've learned how to simplify fractions already, but let me refresh your memory. To simplify any fraction, you need to find the greatest common factor of your numerator and your denominator. So what's the biggest number that goes into both 25 and 100? And a lot of people forget that a number is a factor of itself. So 25 has a factor of 25. And 100 also has a factor of 25. If you think about quarters, there's 4 quarters, 4 25-cents make $1. So if I want to simplify this, I can divide the top, the numerator, by 25, and I can divide the bottom, the denominator, by 25. 25 divided by 25 is 1, not 0. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So now I've magically changed the decimal 25 hundredths into the fraction 1/4. Let's try another one. How about if it's not as easy of a decimal? Here we go. Let's do this decimal, 15 hundredths. That's the fraction 15 over 100. Aren't you glad I taught you how to read decimals correctly, or someone taught you how to read decimals correctly? So 15 over 100, I know that both of those numbers are easily divisible by 5 because they end in 5 and 0. If a number ends in 0 or 5, it's divisible by 5. So I know that I can divide both of those evenly by 5 to get a simplified version of that. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So the simplest form of 15 hundredths is equal to 3 twentieths. Okay, so how do you change a number from a decimal to a fraction? You write the decimal as a fraction, with a denominator, and this depends on what your decimal is, a denominator of 10, if it's something in the 10th place, or 100, or 1,000, or so on and so on. You're always going to have, a decimal is always going to have a denominator of 1/4. followed by zeros. It might be tenths, it might be hundredths, it might be thousandths, it might be 10,000ths. But every decimal has a denominator that starts with 1 and then has zeros after that. Okay, so now you know how to write a decimal as a fraction. Now we're going to move on. We're going to learn how to write a decimal as a percent. And this is super, super easy. Hold on. You still writing, hopefully? Okay, so pay close attention. To write a decimal, I'll write this down here because you don't have the foldable to look at. A decimal to a percent. Percents and decimals and fractions are all different representations of the exact same number, the exact same value. So it's a different way to represent something. So you can have 50% of something, which is the same thing as having half of it, or it's the same thing as having 5/10 of it. So to change a decimal to a percent, that's super easy. Let's start with the decimal 0 and 2500ths. Again, we'll stick with the same example. So to change a decimal to a percent, remember that percent means out of 100. So 25 out of 100 is 25%. So if you change that to a decimal, I'm sorry, to a fraction, it's 2500ths. Oh, percent means out of 100. So this is equal to 25%. Now, it won't always be that easy because you might have a decimal like this. Oh, wait, maybe it is always this easy. If I have this decimal, 33 hundredths. Oh, that's 33 out of 100. Oh, that's 33%. This is the easiest part that we do. Changing a decimal to a percent. If you pay close attention to what we've been doing here, all we've really been doing is moving that decimal place over 2 spots. So to change a decimal to a percent, you simply move the decimal 2 places to the right. So changing a decimal to a percent, move the decimal 2 places to the right. And don't forget what's left and what's right. It's that direction, okay? It's always to your right, not to my right or anybody else's right. Okay, so you might have had the questions like, well, Miss Elkins, what if I get a decimal that looks like this? Oh, that's not what I meant. Oh, here, let's go ahead and do that one. It has 3 decimal places. That's 375 thousandths. I still just move the decimal over 2 places. 375 thousandths is equal to 37 5/10%. Maybe you have a number before the decimal, like 1/87 hundredths. Still, just move the decimal over 2 places. 1/87 hundredths is 187%. Yes, you can have more than 100% of something. You can have one whole and then another part of that something, especially where numbers are concerned. Okay, so that's today's lessons. We learned how to change a decimal to a percent, how to change a decimal to a fraction. So watch this video as many times as you need to till you know how to change a decimal to a percent and a decimal to a fraction. I'll see you soon, hopefully more videos to follow. Have a great day.